Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Live Great podcast. And once again, we have some fantastic people. If you don't know Tim and Ashely Crain, you're going to get to know them a little bit today, but I'm not going to do all the intro. I want you guys to kind of introduce yourselves because they are so fun. And we've known each other for a while. And every time we get together, it's like we don't miss a beat, right? I mean, we at least Tim and I. Now, Ashely, she's much more, down to earth. She's the responsible adult in the room whenever Tim and I are together because we act like kids and we can't help ourselves and someone's got to be responsible. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining today. Why don't you go ahead, just introduce yourselves. I mean, I'll let whoever wants to do that, but share a little about who you are and where you're from. And, do you have a family, those kinds of things. Let people know who you are.
I'm Ashely, of course. And Tim and I, we have been with dōTERRA for
6 years. Yeah.
6 years. We are from North Carolina. That's where the accent comes from. We have a blended family. We have 5 children, age ranging from 6 to 25.
Yep.
We got into dōTERRA because our 15-year-old is on the autism spectrum, and we were looking at a medicine that he was needing. Long story short, it was going to increase his cholesterol. A friend reached out, gave us a month sample of the A to Z. It actually lowered his cholesterol
30 points.
30 points.
I was like, what?
And then Tim's like, okay, there's something to this. So
it's very strange because I tell people, I'm like, you can't really talk about the products or move forward with the business unless you have an experience, like be a product of the product. Well, in this case, it wasn't me personally having that experience. I just saw it happen in him. I was like, what? I was like, I've got like at that time, it's 6 years ago, I think it's 2019. And I was like, well, if I haven't really heard about this product, I'm sure there's a lot of people that hasn't heard about it. And that still rings true today. There's a lot of people that's never heard the word dōTERRA.
That's true.
And if they do hear it, they label it as an essential oil company, and that's it. And we know it's much larger than that. So anyway, that's how we got started. So just with his name is Cole, by the way. When I just saw that happen to him, I had to share it with other people, and it just it snowballed.
Yeah,
and it still hasn't stopped. I mean, we're doing it every day.
Yeah, and I feel like there's like people all over in dōTERRA. That's their same kind of thing, right? They have an experience with it, whether that's it solves some issue, and we talk about all the time here. I mean, that's just how dōTERRA is that they're such a great company. The products they really do work. And so people become passionate about it and they've got a story to tell, and you guys have your own, which is fantastic. Share a little bit about because you guys are like grand prize winners of the incentive trip, right?
I didn't hear you say it again.
Yeah, grand prize winners, okay, yes. Of the dōTERRA incentive trip.
It's the product. It's the products. And, there's a lot of things that go into that, but so what's the exact question? What products do we lead with?
Well, I think there's a lot of questions that will never get answered, Tim. But today the question is really like, how did you do it? I think everybody just is like, okay, so what does it take to be kind of a grand prize winner? Or what does it take to win an incentive trip? What does it take to find enrollments or to be successful or to grow a business or whatever? So I think a lot of people are maybe also in that same boat of trying to figure out a little bit of their process and their what do they do? So I think any tidbits you've got. So yeah, share a little bit about that experience.
Yeah, and I wish it was just a one phrase, right? And it's just not. It's multiple layers to achieve the grand prize winner. She plays a huge part in that. I play a huge part in that, and we both have really separate roles. Because usually it's the wife or the female who is the face of the business, and in her situation, it's the complete opposite. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not the norm. I'll give a little bit about what I do, and then I'll let her kind of talk about how she keeps me grounded and what I guess her specific skills in the dōTERRA business that keeps this business up and running. So I can just keep my madness going on. And a little bit about that madness, right? I lead with MetaPower, right? So the main products that I promote is the MetaPower collagen, the Advantage, the soft shells, the assist, and the BMG and Omega. That is the main products I start with. I really don't teach essential oil classes anymore. There's nothing wrong with that if that's what you do. And I always like to say this as a disclaimer: if you're doing something that's already working, don't change it just because we said so. what we're doing, what we found that we're doing, it works, right? Yeah, like I said, we start off with MetaPower, right? Because we just had an amazing experience with it. My mom had an amazing experience with it, and it's just it's a product that just simply works. It I'm not sure how to start with that. Just the meta-powered system really works. Really, this business that we have established really all boils down to follow-ups. But there's a lot into that, right? If I got a customer that's getting enrolled and they're starting with the meta-power, the BMG, what have you, I have a simple method of getting that customer started and following up with that customer as long as it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When I say as long as it takes for that person to know without a doubt that they need this product, who they know how to order it with no problem, they know about points, percents, and things like that.
Okay.
So
So
that is
let's talk about that for just a second about the follow up, because I think that, you and I have talked about this a little bit too. And I also want to talk a little bit about, I'll ask this question to Ashely in a second about like her analytics and, how she kind of, keeps track of that. You mentioned that too. But so in the follow up, I think that there's some people that really struggle with follow up, but is in your mind, is the key to success the follow up? I mean, is that like, hey, look, you've had a conversation with someone there is a part of that, right, that we have to do, but then there's follow up. What does follow up look like?
well, the first thing to follow up is to set the expectation that you're going to follow up. And I mean that might sound really simple, but I have found out that a lot of people struggle with that. We get excited that we have an enrollment and we forget to follow up. And let me tell you what that does, because it's really detrimental. Because if you try to reach back out to a customer that you enrolled, that you didn't set up a follow up date, and you didn't even mention that, you didn't set that expectation, for some reason that customer thinks that you're trying to sell them something else. I mean, that's the furthest from the truth, right? We're trying to educate, we're trying to help them on their health journey and teach them about how these products, what to do, what not to do. Is it safe with medications? Is it safe in other aspects? So you really have to set the expectation. But when I enroll a customer, I tell them, I'm like, listen, I'm glad you enrolled. Your product's going to arrive on this date, and I set my follow up date 2 days after the ETA on the website, so I don't have to reschedule. I'd rather it be late than having to like, oh, you didn't get it yet. Well, I try to avoid that, so I go 2 days out. However, if they get it early, I'll try to meet with them if I have some time. So I ask them not to open the box when they get it. I know what y'all are thinking. That sounds weird, right? Don't open the box, something they just paid for. But that does something mentally. Because I'll say, I'm like, all right, Mike, you just placed your order, but I know this is gonna sound weird. When you get your box, don't open it. And I pause for about 2 seconds to let that sink in. And you're like, what do you mean? That's my money. That's my box.
Yeah.
But it makes them think just for a second. And then you can like, here's the reason. Today I told you all about these fantastic products and what they do. I haven't told you how to use it. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
So we're going to do what I call a box opening. Have your a little document here, whatever works for you. And I'll have their products on there. I'll have the date. I'll have their email address, and I'll have some notes here. And anything from our last conversation, I'll pull that out and that I want to reference and we'll talk about it. But I'll just go through their products. And another thing that's going to sound weird, or maybe not, is I require them to drink the MetaPower or the BMG while they're on the phone with me. And you may ask, why is that? Because, I mean, I have people mix this in the past in a 30-ounce bottle. And we know you're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to drink it immediately. So things like that, or even the taste of it, I can nip it in the bud at that moment while I'm on the phone with them. Like, oh, I don't like that taste. Okay, well, do you have orange juice? Do you have cranberry juice? I can quickly change that up instead of, hey, when you get that box, let me know. And then 7 days, I expect to have some results. And I found out the first day they stopped because they didn't like the taste.
I actually think it's not weird. I think it's genius. I mean,
Well,
being able to kind of walk through that.
Say it.
I know, but I think it's so, I mean, it's so smart, because if you just leave it to chance and someone opens up the box and they try it or whatever, and they don't have a great experience, they may ghost you. They may not respond when you want it. But if you have them on the phone, to your point, it's great. Now you can resolve concerns and talk about it, like, oh, you didn't get this, or you don't like the taste, or you do, or what does this do for you now that you take it? Or, by the way, I loved your thought about this too, which is you're supposed to take it right away and don't put it in hot water, and all those kinds of things that people may not know. It doesn't, maybe they didn't get all those instructions. So I think it's actually a very smart idea to kind of handhold for a little bit, because it also does another thing, I think, and that is that it creates a relationship. So
very smart. I just want to add something to that, because you said that they may have not. Let's just say they don't read the directions not to mix with hot water and things like that. So at the beginning, when you're explaining this stuff and getting ready to enroll them, you're saying a lot of stuff, right? But going back to that, I know I got ADHD also. Y'all can probably tell that.
So
by
that's
now.
why we edit videos, you know,
Right.
because
So let me get my adaptive. Okay, let me get my adaptive. But yeah, that's why we edit. So what I'm saying is during the initial enrollment, we say a lot of things, right? That there's go back to your first class. What do you remember when you left there? You sure didn't remember all you heard a lot of good stuff, but you just don't remember it. So when you have that set that expectation for that follow up, and then you kind of like do a refresher,
right.
I mean it just sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, we rattle off a lot of information. I mean, think about like you going for a procedure or you are going to, class and someone's explaining all this information. Like, don't worry, I'll send you all the details. Thank you, because there's a lot of information. You know what I mean? And so I think that I think it's a great idea. This idea of, well, just let's go through this together. I'm going to walk you through it. I am your Chat GPT. I am your Google. I am going to be your information guide. You know what I mean? So just when you get it, just hold off. I know you're excited. Let's open it together, and then we can walk through it together too, so that I can answer any of the questions that you have. It's fantastic.
Now, I was going to say, and also with that follow up, you also help them talk about habit stacking, so that you work through where they can put it in their home or whatever, so that they're not missing, so they don't miss it or forget about it.
So let me give a real life example. I'll have on my note folder, I'll have the words RX and the word box. And you're like, so this tells me if they're on prescription and if they have like a daily or a weekly pill box. If they have a weekly pill box that they take medications, I'm like, this is for one reason. Let's just say they're on blood pressure medication. I'll ask them in the last 2 weeks, how many times have you missed your blood pressure medication? Well, I don't miss it. Oh, okay, perfect. So what do you drink when you swallow your blood pressure? Well, I drink with water. Well, now you're not allowed to have water with it. You have to drink it with these two. So, but if they don't take prescriptions, do you drink coffee? No. Do you brush your teeth every morning? Perfect. Put it with your toothbrush. Sometimes, right? So, you're not including you, but
let's shift a little bit, Ashely. I'd love to know more about like your side of this, because you guys have kind of a unique, it's not unique, but it is definitely not the normal, okay, which is that you have two things going for you.
We're not unique. We're just not normal.
Not normal and not unique. I don't,
I'll take it.
You have a very special thing going here. Number one, Tim, I know you've primarily been kind of the business runner, you know what I mean? Kind of the face and kind of running and teaching and enrolling and whatever. And Ashely has been on the back end of this thing, with analytics and data and reports and all that information. Mm-hmm. So number one, you have a male in a predominantly female driven sort of industry and business, especially with dōTERRA. And you also have a couple who is working very closely side by side. Now, again, there are couples out there. Christy and I do this business together, my wife and I, and there's others out there too that we know that are leaders that, they do this together with their spouses. But more often than not, it's a female, it's a woman who is kind of running their business and doing their thing. And it's the husband or whoever it is in their relationship is maybe helping to support them in a way, but it's not quite the same. You guys are really doing this together, and you're kind of the face of it, Tim. So I'm kind of wondering how that is working out for you guys. How's that work?
Yeah, I have specific spreadsheets made. Nothing
just created.
Nothing grand.
Yes,
just no, it's not.
Color coded.
But what I do, I am in the back office every day now. In the beginning, I was not. I was only, once a week, once every 2 weeks or so. But as our business grew, I was more involved. Needed to be more involved. But my spreadsheets, I'm able to look at all of our customers in our organization. I know when their LRPs are scheduled to go through, what the PV is, and then I'm also able to see if it's the same PV that they ordered last month or not. So I go through this for the whole organization, and then I'm able to tell Tim, hey, so-and-so, their LRP is scheduled to go out. Today's the 18th, so it would be scheduled for the 20th, and it's the same PV.
So maybe, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but maybe some people are hearing this right now. They're like, well, that's the detailed genealogy. So what is your...
It is, but mine, I have it so that I can see every month on my spreadsheet, and I can compare by month what the PV was and what it's going to be, and then I can tally up in the bottom. Yes, you can get it off of the back office, but it's the retention and the LRPs that I'm focused on.
There we go.
And that's why I have to do it on my spreadsheet versus trying to go through the way it is on the detailed genealogy. It's just easier for me.
Yeah.
But then, Tim is then able to reach out to that customer. Hey, just wanted to let you know, your order is to go through and you still have the PV as last month. Do you need to change it up any?
So let's talk about why that's very important. Okay.
Yeah.
People get the 2-day reminder, and this is very, I mean, I'm telling you, this is very important, and we think it's minuscule, but it's not, because let's just say, like she said, it's the 18th and somebody has the same PV going out on the 20th. They got the 2-day text. When we get a text where someone, oh yeah, I'll get that later.
The email or something.
The email, the text, whatever it may be. A lot of people overlook that. We're so busy. I mean, how many times do you hear that in a day? I'm so busy.
And 5 days goes by and you're like, how did that get past me? Yep.
Right. So my point is, if she did not send me something to let me know, to let that customer know that their order's got the same PV, here's what's probably 90% what's going to happen. They're going to get a box, especially if it's essential oils, right? And they're going to get it. Oh, man, I'm going to send that back. Well, there goes your numbers for the month. And if you've got multiple people doing that, when they're not, being proactive with, looking at their text, wanting their order, we're busy. Sometimes I miss it, right? But
it can affect your rank. It can affect
a lot of things.
It can affect the business.
How are you communicating that information with, your organization, your people? Is it email, text? Is it, how are you getting a hold of them? I think a lot of people kind of wonder how to do that, especially as you grow and you've got several people. Are you sending individual text messages and emails to everybody? I mean, is it one mass email? How do you do that?
Individual text.
Okay, so it doesn't happen. It's not like it's a huge problem.
I don't have 100 of them a day or anything like that.
So, and we are teaching our frontline builders to do exactly what she's doing, so they can duplicate what she's doing. So in the future, when we have 20 lines down, right, in unilevel, we won't, she's not going to do that. She's just going to focus on our 7 levels and teach duplication for them to do the same. So she'll say, let's just say Mary Sue has the same PV, so she'll send that to me, and now she has who the enroller is, because I don't know who Mary Sue is. So this just happened recently, because I've been having to look it up. So now she'll send enroller Bob, and I'm like, oh cool. So I'll take that message, I'll copy paste, send it to Bob. Bob knows exactly what I'm saying, because he knows that customer, because it's his, and he can move forward with that, because it's all about setting the expectation, right? It's all about what you've already done, because let's just say she sends it to me about one of my customers. It's not like that customer's going to find it funny that I'm texting them, because I've already set the expectation and I've set the relationship at the beginning, so it doesn't feel awkward to send them text messages here or there, and you know what I'm saying? It just have an awkward feeling. And even though if you're not doing that now, you can start doing that.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's going to help. I know people want enrollment, but in order to increase your retention, that follow-up is
crucial
to that, along with being able to then, send the little text message saying, hey, just noticed your PV, that we're wanting the retention part of it. So you need to focus not only on the enrollments. Yes, you need enrollments, but then once you get that person, how are we going to keep them?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, keep it personal. You remind me of, I was on my way home, I think it was maybe yesterday, the day before, just as I was kind of driving around, and I heard this, it was an ad for a car dealership. It was a nice, it's more of a kind of a high-end luxury car. But here's the thing that I remember about this is that the value that they're offering was much more than just a nice car. They said, look, not only are, you come here and buy a car with us, but here's everything else you get. You get free car washes for all of your cars. Doesn't matter what the brand and make is. You bring your cars in, we'll detail it for you. And that's just part of the deal. 2, you have a problem with your car, don't bring it into us. We'll come and get it. We'll come figure it out. We'll give you a car. You get your courtesy car to kind of do whatever you want to do. It's all the services. And so that's what I'm hearing is, look, the value isn't just in the products, even though the products are amazing. The value is in what you're offering on top of products, which is support and follow up and paying attention and having a community and all the different things that you're offering, right? So you said, hey, what are you paying for? Not just a product. You're paying for so much stuff. You're really getting a great value.
That's a great way to put it, Mike.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I wish I could have just answered that in like 4 sentences, but I just went on rambling for like 15 minutes.
That's okay. Yours was much more colorful.
Yeah, just edit that out.
So I was going to ask, going back to, maybe this, the dynamic that you guys have, so Ashely, with key performance indicators, right? KPIs, things to kind of pay attention to as you're, paying attention to the numbers. If you had to tell people, say, hey, look, here are the top 3 or 4 or whatever metrics that you need to pay attention to for your business, these are the metrics that you definitely need to pay attention to every single month.
The LRPs, definitely keeping an eye on those, making sure you want to look to make sure nobody drops off, or like Tim said, they could be the credit card has expired that they have in the system, and the customer's not going to realize that, then the order's not going to go through, and then if it's not caught very quickly, they may go without and decide, well, I don't need it.
That's exactly right.
So keeping an eye just on those, the LRPs, the dates and the PV, and if it actually processes. Because you need to look at the date of their last order date and then their next order date. Keep an eye on those.
And then and as far as like schedule is concerned, I think most people know that there are certain dates of the month that we kind of need to pay attention to, but like from your perspective, like what is it that you do at the beginning of the month, middle of the month, the end of the month? Like what are those kinds of things that people need to get involved with? Or is it like, no, it's a daily habit?
Well, it's not daily. With our builders, I initially tell them to do it on the 5th, 10th, 15th, 20th, and 25th.
Okay, let's say that one more time, but slower. This is for my benefit.
I've got to obey the commas, right?
Obey the commas.
Obey the commas. In fact, we're not even doing commas. We're doing ... dots. Okay, all right.
He wants me to stop. No, on the 5th,
okay,
on the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, and the 25th. So it's like every 5 days.
To get their feet wet.
And that is more, it is more for them just to get used to it, to get used to the process of what they're doing, to understand detailed genealogy and, where they need to be going in the back office and where to find what you're looking for.
That's awesome. No, it's so good that you do this. It's so great because there's so many nuances to it and you get to control it. But here's the thing so I've been in business development, sales, and, something in that, vein for most of my career. And the thing that I can tell you is that when you are that intimate with the numbers, you know what's going on with your business. Even if there are reports that do it for you, knowing it and being involved with it, your business. So now it would be interesting to ask this question of, anybody that's building a business, whether that's dōTERRA or whatever, it doesn't really matter. And ask the question, how well do you know your business? How many people do you have in your organization? How many are active? How many people are on, rewards? How many people are, have credit cards that aren't processing, because they're expired? How many, you know what I mean? You know that because you live in it, but not everybody knows that. They have to go pull a report to get there. So there is definitely some value in the best practice of running your own numbers on a regular basis. And here's the thing, I would think that as you do this on a regular basis, it becomes kind of second nature. It doesn't take all day.
After doing it, I know what an important piece of the business it is, that, I don't want to not do my part, or I don't want to follow through. And so I have to keep that up in order to continue to have a successful business.
Well, you guys are fantastic, and I appreciate you taking the time, and you guys are doing such an amazing job and really, truly an inspiration to so many, because, even though like we're having this discussion and this will go out to whoever sees it, but the reality is so many people have seen what you've been able to accomplish and they're watching, they're paying attention. So you are great leaders and you've been an inspiration to me too. So I just want to say thank you again for jumping on, and we'll catch you guys for sure another time.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, let's go.